What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we have new starter decks coming, so we need to talk about the rulings from the new starter decks. And look, I know some of you are going to watch this going, hang on a second, Wassy. Didn't you do the OP11 FAQ the other day? And the answer is yes, I did, because OP11 is coming out in the West on Friday. And hang on a second, Wassy. Didn't you do the OP12 FAQ the other day as well? And the answer is yes, because OP12 just came out in Japan last week, so we needed to do the FAQ. And now we got starter decks coming, and we need to do the FAQ for those as well. And the annoying thing is, after doing 3 in quick succession, we're not going to have another FAQ for weeks. But right now, yes, the starter decks are out. Actually, the starter decks are really soon. Probably tomorrow as this goes up. So you know what? There's rulings. You need to know the rulings. Let's have a chat about all of them. They're rulings, shall we? Excellent. And we'll start off in starter deck 23, and we'll start off with Uta. Now, Uta's very nice. If you've got a character with 10,000 power or more, you give the card -4 cost in hand, and it's a blocker. Well, if a character has a base power of 9,000 or less, but his power has been raised to 10,000 or more using a Don card or other effect, does it still get -4 cost in hand? Yeah, of course it does. And the deal here is very simple. It does not say an original power or a base power of 10,000 or more, which is what it would if it needed to be that. It just says power. The rule is very simple. If it says original power or base power or cost, it is referring to the unaltered version. But as long as it just says power or cost, it can be altered and it's fine. Well, if I have a character with 10,000 power or more, can I treat this character as having a cost of 2 and play it using the Trafalgar Law from Romance Dawn? Yes, of course you can. Because the deal is, once you've got a 10,000 power or more character in hand, this is a 2 cost. You look at it in your hand, you don't read it as a 6 cost. You read it as a 2 cost. So yeah, Shanks, which can play a 3 cost or less from your hand, or any other card along those lines, absolutely could do this. That's pretty important. The other card we need to look at from starter deck 23 is your Shanks. We got a new Shanks, and actually, I really like this Shanks. This is a Shanks whereby if your opponent has a character with 8,000 base power or more, it gets -3 cost in hand. And then on play, if your leader is Redhead, Pirates, or Uta, your leader gains 2k power until the end of your opponent's next end phase. Okay. Well, if my opponent used the effect of Mr. 2 Boncray Bentham, that's the one from OP04, to raise its base power to 8,000 or more, does that mean I get -3 cost in hand? Yes. And the deal here is really simple. Now, this does specifically refer to base power, but Boncray Bentham changes its base power. It doesn't alter its power in the same way that you're giving it a 2k bump or anything like that. It is actually changing its base power. This character's base power becomes the same as the power of your opponent's attacking leader or character during this turn. So even though it's altered, it is the base power that's altered. And yeah, it totally works, which is kind of fun. Now moving over into starter deck 24, we've got ourselves Kid and Killer. We like the double characters in starter deck 24. And what we've got here from Kid and Killer is on play. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a supernova, add it to your hand, put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. And then when your opponent attacks, you may trash this character to set one of your Don to active. Okay. Well, if I was attacked by my opponent's characters while I had no active Don, I then use this character's on opponent's attack effect to set the Don active. Can I then rest that Don and use my leader Bonnie's effect during the same attack? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. And it's all about the order of operations here. The thing is, these are both on your opponent's attack. They are both your skills, so you decide the order in which they activate. So first you activate Kid and Killer, trash the character, set it onto active. Then you activate Jewelry Bonnie, and when you look, you've got a Don that can be rested. So yes, it absolutely works. If my opponent's character attacks and uses a when attacking effect to KO this character, can I still get this? No. Because my opponent's attacking, their skills will activate first, so they KO Kid and Killer before you ever get a chance to use your skill. Sorry about that. Speaking of double characters, we've also got Law and Beppo. And Law and Beppo says, on play, rest one of your opponent's characters and they do not become active in your opponent's next refresh phase. And then if your opponent has 2 or more rested characters, your leader gains 2,000 power until the end of your opponent's next end phase. Well, what if my opponent had 2 rested characters and no active characters? Can I use this to give 2,000 power to my leader? Yes. Now, you're not resting a character here, but you are still saying one of them doesn't become active, and your leader gains an extra 2,000 power. Essentially, the skill is activating, you go to rest a character, you can't. But you can still say, well, essentially, that's the one I would have rested if I could, so they don't become active during your opponent's next refresh phase, and you still get the plus 2,000 power. And finishing off with starter deck 24, we got X-Drake. On play, if your leader's got the Supernovas type, rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, and then set one of your Don cards active at the end of your turn. Okay. Well, does this set one of my Don cards as active before my end of turn effects activate, or after? In this case, the on-play effect will set one of your Don cards as active after all of your end of turn effects have activated and resolved. Essentially, it's not quite the end of your turn until the end of your turn effects have activated. When they all have, this then gets activated. Well, at the end of a turn in which I activated the effect of Smoker, remember the Smoker leader says you cannot set Don cards to active using character effects for the turn. Can I use this effect to set one of my Don cards as active? No! Obviously not. It might be the end of your turn, but it's not after your turn, it is the end of your turn. Which is just another way of saying, still in your turn. Right, the end, mate, but still in your turn. And Smoker's pretty clear. You don't get Don cards activated using effects for the rest of the turn. There we go. Also, I think I said leader a minute ago. It's obviously not. It's obviously the Super S Smoker character. It's very good, but no, this will not work after having used Smoker. Now, going over into starter deck 25, we've got another pair of characters. They love doing that in these starter decks. We've got ourselves Mihawk and Crocodile. It's another super rare, or it's Crocodile and Mihawk if you want to be pedantic. And on play, you draw 2 trash 1 and play a cross-skilled character of a cost of 4 or less from your hand. And once per turn, if your cross-skilled character would be removed from the field by an opponent's effect, you may instead trash a card from your hand. Okay. Well, if both this character and another of my cross-skilled characters would be KO'd at the same time, while this character is active, can I use this effect to trash 1 card from my hand instead? Yes. Trashing 1 card from your hand will prevent both this character and your other cross-skilled characters from being KO'd. It is once per turn, but because they're all being KO'd simultaneously, this works on all of them simultaneously, which is lovely. Now, moving over into starter deck 26, we've got ourselves a Sober Mask, which has a bunch of rulings associated with it. As a quick reminder, the Sober Mask we're talking about here, if you've got Sangoro or Sanji with 7k base power or more, you give it -5 cost in your hand, and on play you have to return your Sangoro and Sanji characters to your hand. Well, if I've got a Sanji with 6,000 base power or less on my field, does it get -5 cost in hand? No! This effect allows you to give your card -5 cost if you have either a Sangoro with 7,000 base power or a Sanji with 7,000 base power or more in your character area. It's not a Sangoro with 7,000 base power or more, or just a Sanji. That would be silly. It's one of them, but with 7,000 base power or more. If I've got both of them, do I get minus 10 cost? No. It's not minus 5 cost per each. It is if you meet the requirement being a Sangoro or Sanji with 7,000 base power or more, you get minus 5 cost, but it is a one singular thing. It does not snowball from there. If I've got a Sangoro or Sanji with 7k base power or more, can I treat this character as having a cost of 2 and use the effect of OPO1 Trafalgar Law, just like we said with Uta? Yeah, you can, mate. Yeah, you can. Now, there's also a new Monkey D. Luffy in Starter Deck 26, and this is a ridiculous card. On play and when attacking, Don -2. If your leader is multicolored and your opponent has 5 or more Don cards on the field, your Straw Hat Crew leader's base power becomes 7,000 until the end of your opponent's next end phase. Well, if I activated it twice during the same turn, what will your leader's base power be? 7k. Essentially, the first time you activate it, you go up to 7k. The second time you activate it, you go to 7k. Doesn't do anything else. It's not you get an extra 1 or an extra 2 or anything along those lines. It sets it to 7k, so no matter how many times you use the effect, every time it sets it to 7k. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it would be kind of dumb if you could stack it, but you definitely can't. Because remember, some leaders are getting a 2k bump, some are only getting a 1k bump. So, moving on to Starter Deck 27, we've got ourselves a new Katarina Devon. Activate main, trash this character. If your leader has Blackbeard Pirates, give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost for the turn. And on KO, you draw a card. Okay. Well, if I use the activate main to trash this character, can I draw a card? No! Because trashing and KOing are not the same. You've not met the requirements. No. We got Juan Wolf coming in here. If your leader is Blackbeard Pirates, this character gains blocker and +1 cost for every 4 cards in your trash. And on play, you trash a card from your hand. Well, can I use this to give this character on my field a cost of 11 or more? Yeah, of course you can. There's no reason not to. If you've got 28 cards in your trash, divided by 4, boom, +7 cost, you are good to go. You can only have a cost of 10 when you're playing from hand, because you only have 10 Don cards. A card of a cost of 11 would be impossible to play. But we're not talking about cost in your hand, we're talking about cost on the field. That is not the same thing. It can go as high as you like, there's no upper limit. Now, we got ourselves a new Marshall D. Teach. Activate main, rest this character, KO a character of a cost of 3 or less, and on KO, add a black card from your trash to your hand. Well, when this character is KO'd, can I use the on KO effect to add this card to my hand? Yes, you can. Because the deal is, this doesn't activate until you are KO'd. You are KO'd, you go to the trash. You then check the trash to see what you want to pick up. Oh, Marshall D. Teach. Job's a good un. Can I use this to KO one of my own characters with a cost of 3 or less? Yeah, of course you can. Very simple example. Use it to KO Katarina Devon because you really need to draw an extra card. Because there's something you're searching for. You won't do it often, but it absolutely works. And then finally, over in Starter Deck 28, we got a new Kozuke Momonosuke. And what we've got here is a rather lovely skill whereby, well, we've got a couple. Firstly, on your turn, if you've got 2 or less life, your leader gains 1,000 power. But then activate main once per turn. You may return 2 total of your currently given Don cards to your cost area rested to gain rush and 1,000 power. Well, can I choose the 2 Don cards to be returned to my area by the activate main by selecting 1 Don card from each of 2 different characters or my leader, i.e. can I take 1 from 2 different characters or leader rather than 2 from the same? Yeah, of course you can. It does not say return 2 of your Don given to 1 character. No. As long as you're returning 2, it doesn't matter where they come from. So there you go. There's the rulings you need to know. As I always tell you guys, if you're going to play the game, you need to know the rules, and now you do. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these in the comment section. Tell me which makes sense. Tell me if you've got any further questions. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.